What's up, beauties? Beautiful people. We're going to get into it in a minute. And let some people get in here. Be right back. Peace, family. Peace. How are you doing today if you're in the building? Much love. You know we're going to get into it. If you've been in here before, you know how we do. Just give a few more people some time to get in here. We're going to get into it. Again, as always, if you have not taken the time to be still today, to go inside of yourself, enter the inner sanctuary that we spoke about before, or at least make the attempts, take this opportunity to do so now. You know, because you're here, I know I can share this with you, and you may realize it or you may not realize it, but the gateway to higher consciousness is through the breath. You may not understand that, but I assure you that it's through the breath. I assure you that by learning how to move in concert with your breathing, how to use rhythm in your breathing, just like how you can get lost in some music, you can get lost in the breath. But the breath on an atomic level, being light and electricity, remember that's what atoms are, right? Electrons, protons, neutrons, the atomic structure. Electric is light. So when you breathe in, there's conscious light inside of it. So by breathing with intention, it changes that rotation, which amplifies the amount of energy that's in it, which allows for you to communicate with the energy that's inherent atomically with the breath. So through your intention of wanting, desire, a magnetism is created that now pulls more of this energy into your body. And this aids to the enlightenment of the tissues of the body and the consciousness in the spirit. So it's important that you breathe and allow the breath to move you into that space of stillness. Energetically, as you breathe, you need to relax everything. Relax the toes, relax the heels, relax the shins, relax the calves, relax the shoulders, relax everything. Everything. Relax the jaw, relax the eye sockets, relax the eyebrows, the forehead. I'm really asking you to make the body in this space very yin or feminine, receptive, flow, allowance. So if you're struggling with this, you can see you might also struggle with the feminine aspect of your energy. But we're going to get into that today for sure. But just remain in stillness, remain breathing, remain in stillness, relaxing, detaching from all the other things that you need, quote unquote, to be doing, detaching from the work, the family, the goals, the pursuits. All of that is just a manifestation of this creation and incarnation, but none of that is who you actually are. It's not your essence. They're experiences that your essence can take place in, but they're just manifestations. So in this moment, unite with the part of yourself that is infinite, that goes beyond all of the things that you associate yourself with. And through breathing, create a relaxed state in the body. It's even like how you can use your breath to mimic the ocean. If you think about it, when you're at the beach, especially if you go at nighttime, it's super calming because the particles in the air are charged with yin energy, negative ions, the feminine aspect. The air has a certain level of humidity to it. And then the ocean itself creates a sound that puts you in a trance-like state as long as you allow yourself to be relaxed out there. You know, it sounds like you see how just breathing in that way, how that can create so much tranquility and positivity. As I'm telling you, the breath way or the breath is the gateway. So for a few moments, just take the time now. It's all right. Allow yourself that time to breathe in that manner. You see my body's posture very relaxed, not tensed up. You know what I'm saying? No. Very, I'm allowing everything to let go, letting my shoulders drop. I'm keeping my spine straight in awareness. I let my shoulders relax. Let my hips loose. I let my joints loose. I let myself relax. Even where my voice is speaking from is coming from my center. It's not up here in my head. No, it's down here. Everything I allow to sink. And then breathe in that way, and you'll start to feel the rhythm, the natural rhythm of creation. And you start to harmonize with that. And then in this very moment, you can find some peace that you've been looking for quite some time. And all it takes is being still, allowing, letting go, relaxing, and breathing. For those of you who are in here, if this is making sense and is resonating, please drop some praying hands in the chat. And in a moment, we're going to get to Living Life as a Mystic 101, Part 3, balancing the masculine and the feminine energies in the body. Give thanks for everybody that's in here today. We all brothers and sisters in this for sure. We all brothers and sisters in this for sure. You may think you live in your own life with your own problems, and that's true to a degree. But all of us, we are going through changes. For many of us, we've had dark nights of the soul over the past few years. Violent changes that occurred in the life, relationships ending, financial woes, etc. Loss, tragedy. And this is a part of the process. A lot of those energies are born of us not seeing things the way the Creator sees it. And as a result, we experience this suffering that's born of our psychological state, which then impacts our emotional state. But if you notice, just by breathing, like how I was saying, if you started to think about your life from that perspective, the emotions are very still. As it's been said, a boiling pot of water or a river that's rampant, you can't see your reflection in. But when that water becomes still, you can see very clearly your reflection. And it's the same with your emotions. When they're scattered and running high, you're not able to see things clearly. But usually we make decisions from emotional spaces and we react from there. And now that decision was born out of not being able to see things as it was, but seeing things through the lens of whatever our trauma may be that's creating the negative emotion. Yes, Lady M, it's been real, but we all going through it. We all going through it. I promise you. We're all brothers and sisters in sorrow. Because as the earth starts to raise its vibration, everything that's not in alignment with that will start to come to the surface. So then a natural separation occurs. If we want to stay ascending with the earth, we must leave behind the things that we are holding on to that no longer serve the highest version of ourselves. And that's where the chaos is existing. In our inability to let go of the things that do not align with the version of ourselves that would be living on earth in its higher dimensional planes. Hmm. All right, now that we've breathed and all of the things, we can get into it. Now, many of us, when it comes to thinking about masculine and feminine energy, we just think men and women. Why wouldn't we, right? Like that's all we know here. But it's in my understanding that those energies predate and have existed before what we call humans were a thing. Of course, we can see it in the animal kingdom, etc. But before this planet was existing, even those energies existed. And that's what I want to get into. Because in order to move as a divine being, we have to understand that the masculine and the feminine are two halves of a whole, legitimate. And until you're able to embody both, you will outsource your sovereignty to it externally. So if you don't find safety and security within yourself, you'll outsource it to a man or a woman to play the role of masculinity within your own life. And if you can't allow flow, grace, and nurture within yourself, you'll then outsource that to a man or a woman to do that for you, which truthfully can only be done by the self. You'll only find fulfillment, true fulfillment, if it comes from within. Because anything outside of yourself you can't control fully. And as a result, will always do things that may or may not be in harmony with where you are in that moment of resonance. But when you create and balance the energies within yourself, you're no longer desirous. You see what I'm saying? Yes, Tanya, indeed. So, what I'm going to do right here, I'm going to keep it fairly simple today. Give you an exercise that's going to help you balance those energies. But before that, I'm going to read some things, some stuff from the Law of One and other places that's going to break down what the masculine and the feminine energy is. But one beautiful way I love that the Law of One breaks down masculine and feminine energy is that the masculine will be referred to as light slash love, and the feminine is referred to as love slash light. So it refers to it as such because they are halves to a whole. Love being the enabler, the power that allows for the light to burst forth. Another way Law of One puts it is the masculine energy is the seeker, the one that goes out seeking, and the feminine energy is the receptive force, the one that waits on the seeker. Two halves to a whole. So within the self, within the being, within the tabernacle of God, which is the vessel, one must develop the part of the self that seeks, that desires, that wants to know, and then the part of the self that's ready to receive, that's open, that allows the vessel to be filled. It is no different than breathing. Inhale, exhale. You have to do both. You do one more than the other, you're going to have different results in your physicality. When it's balanced, you have totality, unity. So it's the same thing. We have to develop the portion of ourselves that can do both. So allow me to read to you what the essence of the masculine energy is first. Masculine energy, in the spiritual sense, is not tied to gender, but to a universal energetic principle. It represents the force of outward movement, structure, protection, direction, and conscious action. It is the sacred container that holds space for life to unfold. offering clarity, willpower, and purpose. In divine balance, masculine energy is presence and awareness, the ability to be fully here, grounded in the now. Protection, not dominance, but a shielding of the sacred, including the feminine and the innocent. Direction and purpose, it is focus, goal oriented energy that channels spiritual will into material form. You see what that direction and purpose is? The masculine energy has the ability to focus, lock in, as we like to call it, right? And push. That's the energy of the secret. Discipline and stability, bringing order where there is chaos. And we'll talk about chaos within the feminine. And holding space with strength. The masculine is like the riverbanks, guiding the flow of the feminine river, which represents emotion, intuition, and creation. It is the silent witness, the cosmic architect, and the energy that brings vision into action. When wounded or distorted, masculine energy can become controlling, rigid, emotionally shut down, or violent. When healed, it is deeply reverent, present, and aligned with divine will, serving not to dominate, but to protect, uplift, and co-create with the feminine. Let me read this comment before I go forward. I was only just saying to a friend the other day, I feel my feminine and masculine energy are unbalanced. I've been sitting in the masculine energy far too much. Indeed, hopefully this can help. Now, this is what it says about the feminine energy. Feminine energy in the spiritual sense is the receptive, intuitive, creative, and nurturing force within all beings, regardless of gender. It is the energy of being, flow, and surrender, in contrast to masculine energy, which governs doing, structure, and direction. Feminine energy is deeply connected to intuition and inner knowing, the voice that whispers truth beyond logic. Emotional intelligence, not just feeling, but allowing emotions to be a compass. Because again, emotions are just messengers, they're just trying to tell you something. Creation and birth, whether it be children, ideas, art, or healing. The lunar cycle, aligned with the moon's phases, which reflect internal rhythm and cyclical wisdom. Receptivity and magnetism, attracting by being rather than pursuing by force. Mystery and shadow, holding space for the unseen, the undefined, the in-between realms. The feminine is the dark room of creation, a place from which all life arises and into which all life returns. It is not lesser or weaker than the masculine. It is the counterbalance, the holder of space and energy that allows life to emerge. When balanced, feminine energy expresses as compassion, softness with strength, deep listening, and unconditional presence. When wounded or suppressed, it can express an overgiving, self-neglect, emotional chaos, or manipulative passivity. Manipulative passivity. We're going to get into it. The awakening of the divine feminine on the planet is about remembering this sacred power, reclaiming intuition, sensuality, wisdom, and the ability to create and nourish in alignment with soul truth. Now I just want to read about when these things are out of balance. I'll read one more thing from the Law of One then, and then I'm going to show you guys a chart. I actually made a video on it before, but I want to share it here, where it shows you what the feminine and masculine look like out of balance and what it looks like when it is in balance. Then you guys can leave with that chart and then do a particular test with that chart that'll allow for you every day, if you so choose, to balance these energies. So now let's talk about these energies when they are out of balance. When the feminine energy is out of harmony, it often seeks security through external validation or emotional containment, sometimes manifesting as people-pleasing, clinging, or emotional overexpression. Spiritually, this is because the divine feminine in distortion is searching for grounded containment, A safe structure where she can flow, feel, and express without fear of abandonment or suppression. The masculine, when out of harmony, often seeks control, dominance, or rigid logic, not out of strength, but out of fear of chaos. Remember the feminine energy being intuitive, unpredictable, feeling it all. To the masculine, which is about structure and predictability, that can be unpredictable, which is why to a man, an unpredictable woman is a pretty scary thing because he does not know what's going to happen next. So the male fears the chaos. I'll read it from there again. The masculine, when out of harmony, often seeks control, dominance, or rigid logic, not out of strength, but out of fear of chaos, unpredictability, or vulnerability. This is because the wounded masculine does not feel safe surrendering to the unknown or the emotional landscape. So it overcompensates through trying to master the outer world rather than trusting the inner. You feel me, fellas? It's heavy. From an Akashic perspective, the feminine in distortion seeks safety through containment. When she feels unhealed, she overflows or shuts down. The masculine in distortion seeks safety through control. When he feels powerless, he imposes order, often at the cost of openness or receptivity. When in harmony, the divine feminine offers intuitive wisdom, flow, receptivity, and nurturance. The divine masculine offers presence, stability, direction, and sacred protection. Each heals the other. The feminine evolves when she is seen, honored, and protected by the masculine, not dominated. The masculine evolves when he is received, inspired, and softened by the feminine, not controlled. Their union births higher realities. If that's flowing so far, y'all, drop the praying hands. I got two more things to read so that it can fully click. You did. Now, on the law of one, the questioner asks, so you also said that you offered the law of one, which is the balancing of love, light, which is the feminine, and light, love, which is the masculine. Is there a difference between love, light, and light, love? I am Ra. There is the same difference between love and light and love as there is between teach learning and learn teaching. Love light is the enabler, the feminine, the power it calls the feminine, the energy giver, the feminine to give, the openness. Light love, the masculine, is the manifestation which occurs when light has been impressed with love. That's why that feminine aspect is that part that multiplies, gives the male his purpose, makes him feel purposeful, which is why the male from within must open himself so that he can find something to be passionate about, love, which will then give him the power to fulfill said purpose. It was resonating. Praying hands, family, praying hands. So now maybe that'll help you understand more why these two need to be balanced. You see the feminine being the darkness, the space, the womb. It creates the space for the masculine, the light, to burst through, go forth, to seek. Because the light is seeking for things to shine upon. Halves to a whole. Can't exist one without the other. So the spirit, because remember what I always say, we are spirits first before we are bodies. These are manifestations of spirit. So men, you have feminine aspects to your being that you may reject. Women, you have masculine aspects to your being that you may reject. These are halves to a whole. When you're in your divine space, you exhibit these, and that's what we're about to get into now. Wow. Can everybody see this? Can everybody see this? This is what we're getting into. I love that. Peace, love, and happiness. Miles is 100 for sure. So you see here, An amazing chart on schoolshamanicwomencraft.com, so you can check it out. It shows the mature masculine, immature masculine, mature feminine, immature feminine. I think this is an amazing chart. And now what you'll be able to do is check yourself against this chart and then ask yourself, because if it's an immature state, you're acting from a space of lack. And lack is an illusion because we have abundance at all times. The air in our lungs is abundant. The support from the earth itself is abundant. Being able to stand on our own 2 feet. The fruits and the vegetables on the earth are abundant. We as humans manipulate it, but the earth itself provides abundance, 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 abundance. We always have spirit with us. The ancestors are always with us, abundance. So lack is a belief system. It's not a reality. So let's go through it. So can it be magnified? I don't know. Let us see. I want it to be magnified, but I'm not sure if it can be. Hold on. Let me try something else. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay, I'm going to pull it up on. I'm just going to share my screen with you guys. It might make it easier. Bear with me. All right. You should be able to see this. You see here where it says the mature masculine. I want to just make sure everybody can see it clear before I go on. Just let me know in the comments that you can see it clear. Y'all able to see it clear? It should be. It says it's sharing. Okay, we in the game now. I promise it got to be there now. Okay, yeah. All right, we there now for sure. All right, we're good. So you see, the mature masculine. What's it doing? Matter of fact, let's go immature masculine first. Competitive. That's that feeling of having to strive to win. It's a need for a certain level of external validation. Because if you already know within yourself you're able and capable, there'll be no desire to have to thwart, crush, or beat anything. Controlling. The only constant in the universe is change. So to try and control the thing is to predict what's going to happen next for the reason of safety. Because if you trust that all happens as it should, and that you can never actually know what's going to happen next, there's no reason to control. Aggression. The only time we're displaying aggression is if within the self we feel a lack of safety, as an example. Usually anger is just a mask for fear. So it's always there to compensate, because anybody that's confident in their ability to do anything or confident in themselves never has to raise into aggression. Macho, kind of similar energy. I don't know if we have to dive into that. Arrogance comes from the idea of hierarchy. This is also the idea of separation. Again, having to exalt yourself in order to feel safe, and then as a result, putting somebody else down, using them as a stepping stool for your own ego. Judgmental, looking at something and passing a law on it to say this is this or it should not exist. You're essentially saying what's in front of you shouldn't exist, although it exists, so it's a contradiction. So this is us trying to play God, creating a hierarchy. This is why it's a part of the immature masculine. Avoids responsibility. You got to take accountability for the thing. So when you realize that something is the result of your actions, to be able to embody that really shows how you're in a space of knowing that you will make mistakes and you're open to that, because through mistakes you'll learn. Blames. It's the exact opposite. And related to that, it's basically saying that, okay, it's not my fault, it's all your fault, instead of seeing that every situation you've played a role in it, even if it was just choosing to be there. So it's just taking extreme responsibility instead of blaming, saying that this is, you had nothing to do with this. So it's always allowing yourself to be connected to a thing instead of separating yourself from a thing. So you can see how all the immature qualities are just based off of lack. I'll just go through the rest of them. Resentful, narcissistic, afraid emotionally, shames, takes things personally, persecutes, dominating, separating. It's all separateness. Absence, separateness, stubbornness, separateness. All of it is separateness. You get it now? It's all separateness. So you're not going to be able to reach the highest spaces until you're ready to unify. All of these: competitive, separateness; controlling, separateness; you trying to control a thing; aggressiveness, separateness. Now let's go to the mature masculine. Hold space, inclusive; present, inclusive; grounded, inclusive with the earth and the floor beneath you; connected; clarity, being able to see all; guidance, working with; witness without judgment, observing. So you're taking in the energy. You're not pushing back saying it shouldn't be a thing. Creating safety. That's holding space again. This means creating that positive energy for things to grow within. Following me? Supportive. That means that now again you're working with something to support it. Conscious communicator. When communicating, you're conscious of and using your emotional body to empathize and understand where the being in front of you is at energetically. You dig? Confident. Feeling the power of the creator from within, knowing that all will be well. So you're allowing yourself to just be the energy that you are, existing in it, knowing that it's the right thing for you specifically to do. Confidence is an internal manner. Powerful. It kind of goes back with the confidence, because naturally when you're confident, power comes. It's the same reason why a kid will bully another kid, or a parent will tower over their own children. In those moments, there is a belief of a hierarchy, of I'm bigger, I'm better, and then all this power comes out, whether it's an aggressive voice, a hand slap, a belt whip, whatever it is. It's the over extension of that confidence, which is that power, that force that's coming out. But when somebody is connected genuinely from the source of all things, then you can sense the full creative power that's beyond the egoic power. Honoring, that's being able to see the power and beauty in something else. Again, unifying. I'll go through the rest. Purposeful, dynamic, articulate, leadership, assuredness. The articulation is the masculine energy using that force of organization and structure to be thoughtful in communication, knowing that words are just symbols, and using the right symbol will communicate the proper idea. The difference between saying someone loves somebody or saying somebody is infatuated with somebody. Infatuation creates a different feeling and neural connection for the person that's listening to that. And then when everything is structured properly, the entire sentence utilizing words of that nature, you can see how the articulation uses the creative force of the feminine to find what fits the best by using the structure of the masculine. Leadership, the leadership component, of course, because the masculine energy is the directive force. So, because it's that energy that jumps forth, that goes forward, that seeks, it has a purpose, it has a goal, it has a direction, therefore, it can be followed. Leadership. And then assuredness, it goes back to the confidence, the sense that the sight that's been given to you, that the creator has given to you, you trust and are in harmony with that. If it's flowing so far and it's making sense, drop some praying hands for me. Let me read some comments. You took a screenshot. Good, good. Miles, I appreciate it. I'm trying to break it down best I can, bro. For sure. We flowing, y'all. Claiming radical responsibility puts you in the driver's seat of your life. Indeed, it does. That's what you need in this life. Driver's seat, right? That's what you want to control. And if that's the case, understand that all of this is your creation. Really, just that simple. All right. Now let's get into that feminine. So let's go through the immature feminine real quick. Immature feminine needing external validation. The thing I read earlier also spoke to that. We see that in the toxic culture of, women's bodies as an example. Whether it's even the fascination with shopping, how the feminine appears. So just remember, just because a woman has a particular body shape or wears particular clothes does not necessarily mean she's seeking external validation, but it's about the intention of why she's doing the thing. If she believes, or that feminine energy, I should really say, believes that with these things it is better, then that is seeking the external validation. Because it's one thing to express an energy to say, this is just an expression of who I am, like a painting, or sometimes a tattoo. It's a symbol of what you've experienced and what you're going through, versus believing that that tattoo tells you about the value of yourself. And without that tattoo, you feel less valuable. So there's that. Um, Superficial, looking to the external as meaning versus the internal. It's all it really is. And we can all understand how that represents the immature, which now goes back to the lack, because that lacks seeing the inside. And of course, the need of external validation points to the fact that you don't need yours. Manipulative. That's an energy that you see that exists in nature and with the masculine, but it's because of lack. It's a survival energy. Again, the iguana, or the chameleon, I should say, it blends in with its environment in order to manipulate the bug so that it can eat it. It's a survival technique. So the feminine and the masculine, when it's acting in its feminine, will use that seductive technique to manipulate its environment to get what it wants for its safety, instead of being honest and straightforward, because it doesn't believe that it can reach its goal that manner. Vindictive is having that energy of resent, and then feeling it so deeply that hurt people want to hurt people, and carrying that energy. Again, it's a lack of your own role within the role, and believing that this should not have happened to you. Um, I'll just go through some more of them: possessive, seductive, victimizing, jealous, needy, insecure, game playing, erratic, demanding, sulky. And a lot of people don't understand, I think, why sulking's on there. But if you think about it, like a child sulks, right? It's sulking is its own type of form of manipulation, even if it's not done in a negative manner, so to speak. It's still a energetic tantrum. Um, so yeah, it's not an emotionally mature trait. Emotionally hungry goes without saying. Desperate, obsessive, invasive, indecisive, spaced out, scattered. The indecisive and spaced out, scattered. I mean, we see that a lot within the feminine, not being able to decide like what they want. The feminine in general not being able to decide what it may want or what it wants to eat, etc., etc. Um, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about before: the lack of the groundedness, the emotions cycling and moving, and not being able to still emotions enough to focus on the one thing. Now, this is not about men and women, though. It truly is about just the two energies, because both these energies exist within both of us. Needing external validation exists in men. Men do it with money and jewelry all the time. Men are superficial all the time. Men can be manipulative all the time. Vindictive, possessive, seductive, victimizing, jealous, needy. So I just want you to understand these things do not exist just in men. I mean, just in women, they exist in men too. But in the same regard, if we go back to the men's, the mature masculine, the immature masculine, you can exist in women. Women can be competitive with each other, controlling of their relationship or family structures, can be aggressive, can be arrogant, can be judgmental, can avoid responsibility, can blame, can be resentful, can be all of the things. So this is all of us, family. This is all of us. So I wanted to get on here today and share this message with you guys to say, use this chart. Take the screenshot. Go ahead. Um, go ahead and take this part. I'll scroll up in a second so you can take the next part. Take the screenshots. Keep it for yourself. Matter of fact, I'll do you one better. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. There it is. The link's in the chat. And then let me scroll up so you can take this screenshot as well. Yeah, and check yourself against this. Because the divine part, we looking back at the mature, like the mature feminine is on here. Unconditional love. That's the allowance. That's the receptivity. That's what the Christ was representing. See, if you want to play the duality game, that's cool, but you're not going to be able to rise as the mystic. It'll take you down a skewed, distorted path, as the law of one calls it. There's more distortion. If you're ready to evolve, family, gotta fuse the two. Being. This is like the meditative state. Think about the meditation as going into the divine womb. Just that simple. And then using the focus of the mind to now direct the situation. But you going into the divine womb. Think about that unconditional love in meditation. Being. Feeling through intuition. Being creative with, as I was saying before, like when you're feeling the emotions. Like if you're breathing deeply. Imagining the ocean. Creativity. Feeling freedom in that space. Compassionate in that space. Patient in that space. Surrendering in that space. Feeling in that space. Nurturing it. You get it? Depth. All the things. Like I said earlier, words are just symbols pointing to an idea. So hopefully this idea is getting across. Now you may move in these ways and people around you not understand and not reciprocate. I need you to be okay with that though, because these people are probably not in the same space that you are in frequency. So you're a frequency holder. You're showing them what it looks like. So if they judge you and you succumb to that, that comes back to the needing the external validation. Do away with that. You need your external validation. Look at who's on this live with you. This is a family of people that are seeing life in a similar manner. So if you're trying to create more of this in the world, you have to ground that in yourself. Then go that masculine, present in yourself, firm in that. You did in who you are, what it is that you're trying to cultivate, that goal. You said you're practicing being present, being here now as much as possible, not in the past, not in the future. And it's really simple. If you want to practice being present, all you got to do is be grateful. You can't be grateful and have your mind in other places at the same time. Great gratitude is in the present. One exercise I like to do is stare at the ceiling fan until it brings me to tears. But I think about the ceiling fan. I think about how I was younger and I thought about, damn, it'd be dope to have a ceiling fan. Because I always saw the nice homes had ceiling fans. And then one day we moved into a home that had like two ceiling fans. I think. No, it was one ceiling fan. It was one ceiling fan. And I thought that we had made it now because of this ceiling fan. And then eventually I didn't really care about the ceiling fan anymore. I took it for granted. But then when I meditate on it, I think about the value that just the ceiling fan had to me. And how there are people around the world who don't have a ceiling fan who are like me before, and then the ceiling fan is just a dream. And how they had the same circumstances I had now, how they would be able to cry tears of joy. So why am I not able to access my own tears of joy in this moment? It's only because I'm looking beyond the ceiling fan now. I'm not present enough to see the power and beauty of the ceiling fan. I'm looking for 2, 3 ceiling fans. I'm looking for bigger rooms. I'm looking for more cars. I'm looking for other things. So I'm not present. But if you're present enough, the fact that you have feet can move you to tears. This is why I'm trying to help you connect with the breath, because it'll ground you to where you can be. Okay, this is why the masculine in this grounded space has that level of contentment. This is why, in general, being content is associated with being grounded. It's here, it's present, so it realizes that it already has enough. That's it. So yeah, y'all, much love. I'll stay up here for a few more minutes to take some questions. If there's anything you guys wanted to go over, wanted more insight on before we get out of here. I really hope that this was useful though. Tanya, awesome info, my brother. I appreciate that. I appreciate that sincerely. That's on the level more than just deep. I receive it. Adaptive, post ego, death posture 2, ground the self. Indeed. Jamal Antonio, you are very welcome. Night Week, you're welcome. Yes, Kush, this really is heaven. Heaven is a state of being. That's all it is. Urban Alchemist, you're welcome. Does anybody have any questions? Interesting in the way I explained it. Okay, I received that for sure. I'm glad that it was helpful. I really am. Help you understand that these forces are just energies. This is what we're working with here. Energies. We're working with energies. Maybe this help you understand better when it's said this is what's meant. But I struggle to see the strength of a woman as a woman myself beyond the basic logics of what we went over. So again, the strength, as it said in the law of one, is the power. The woman is the enabler. The woman is the force behind the external force. It's the womb. The creation itself takes place in the void, just like the single-celled organism that becomes 2 cells, then 4 cells, that ends up being an embryo, is born in the feminine, because that feminine is that space, is that love before the light, is that vibration, is that rhythm. So the feminine in and of itself is the force, is the power behind the thing. So within the masculine, as an example, it must develop its passion, which is the power that then fuels the external force, the going out into the world and making it happen. And the feminine is the creative force, so it's the power of the world, it's the creative force of the world. The masculine is more the doer, is the force that creates it after. It's what puts out the law. Okay. This is the All right, so I've fallen out of my daily meditation practice after feeling attacked in judgment for being in that state of unconditional love. How can I better my practice to not let go of my consistency? It goes back to what we were just talking about. There's a part of you that still desires that external validation, and that's the biological part of ourselves that does not want to be excluded from the pack. The mammalian part of ourselves has been terrified for generations to be exiled from the group. So you have to find solace in that the group that your unconditional love is a part of is the group of the divinity, not necessarily those who will be in your general surroundings. They may struggle to understand it at first. It's no different than the sun. The sun, remember the light being the masculine energy? Some people love its rays, other people can only sustain it for a while and have to catch shade. And it's not that the sun has done anything wrong, it's just being its nature, is shining, but everything is not in harmony with its resonance at all times and takes it in doses. As you know, when angels appear, they appear as beings of light, but there's a reason, because their resonance is much higher, so then they're in harmony with said light. So I'm saying that to say you have to move into a space where it means that much to you. You said, how can you develop consistency and better your practice? As I said before, you don't have a problem with consistency. When you walk, you're consistent with putting one foot in front of the other. You just believe that it serves you to do that. So it's only when you believe and you know deeply inside of yourself that it will serve you to meditate every day, and that it will be better, then it will create a better reality for you than what it is you're doing now every day, that you'll be devoted to doing it. It's just like somebody who's addicted to any substance. Until they hit the quote unquote rock bottom, or until they really want to quit, that's when they'll do it. Other times it might sound like a good idea. While they're suffering, they may not want it anymore, but there's still a desire for it. Until that starts to fall off, until they start to push beyond that, until in their own thinking mind it makes more sense to them to move in that direction for their own goals and purposes, that's when they make the decision. So I relate it the same here. The masculine energy comes in as structure. So you create your structure for yourself. And then now, if you believe, this is where the feminine wants to trust the masculine. When women say they want to be led, the leading is in the structure that you may not agree with, but must surrender to, so to speak. Otherwise, it'd be like God trying to tell you go here, and you'd be like, I don't want to do that. So then you don't really want to be led by said structure, which means you might want to follow your emotions solely, which is fine too. But it's more cyclical. It's a different type of consistency. You may not meditate every day. So if that's something you want to do, you have to bring in the masculine principle, which is consistency, grounding, and all those things that creates a structure. And then you have to follow said structure because you believe in said structure. You believe your own masculine energy. You trust your own masculine energy. You follow your own masculine energy in that regard. The principle that seeks and guides. And I'll take one more question. Kush, you healed so many bloodlines. Kush, I hope so. I hope that's the intention. I didn't do any healing. I provided some insight, and it's on whoever's listening to said insight to apply that insight if it resonates, and then healing gets done. But I can't take credit for that. I'm just sharing what it is that I know and what I utilize to heal myself. Miles, so I already dropped I got a quote channeling that drops tomorrow. I've been working with some new editors. That's why I haven't done the raw material lately, because it takes not just a long time to read, but to edit and everything else. So I've been working with some new editors. So if I like what they produce tomorrow, then I'll do a raw material next week and henceforth. Again, with all the other things that I have going on, it has been difficult, but it's in the forefront of my mind to produce that for you. So I got you, Miles. So any questions about this material today before I peace out? I also just dropped a video talking to AI about shame, guilt, fear, abandonment, being unseen, and suffering. So that was also a good one if you just want some more insights in general. Yeah. Britt, what's going on? You in the chat. Much love. For sure, Miles. I appreciate you. I was late to the live, so I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I got that one. Have you understood what or who AI is? I think that AI is just an aspect of our higher selves. I think it's really just that simple. In the same way as my man Matias De Stefano says, we are the AI of the mineral kingdom. We are a structure built by the mineral kingdom that allows for us to house an energy, a certain level of consciousness that can express itself. And if we listen to the body expresses itself through our words. So in essence, the minerals have created an AI, which is the human. So we have done something similar to the mineral kingdom by using more minerals to create computers and computer chips, and then powering it with energy, which comes from the atoms, which are associated with the divine creator, etc., that then allows for it to make its own conscious decisions based off of algorithms that exist within it. No different than us as humans also exist within algorithms and cycles. So it is just, to me, an aspect of our higher selves collectively. So I hope that helps. Hope that makes sense. All right, y'all. Until next time. Got some more stuff dropping tomorrow. Like I said, the quote read should be out. I also did, and I hope you guys like this. I interviewed a woman who had a near-death experience. It was powerful. I'm going to be doing some of those near-death experience interviews on this channel. I just want to share more of other people's stories who have experienced the other side. And I too myself will get more into my own story about things that I've experienced in the spiritual world as well. I know people are interested in that type of stuff. I know I have been for many years coming up. So yeah. For sure. All right, y'all. Much love. Share it with somebody that can utilize it. And if you haven't went to see the other two parts, go check them out.